I'm not sure how to fill it. So I'll just talk to you for a few minutes. Maybe it'll come to me. I was watching it's been a while. I'm a very independent voter, and I really am not excited about this election. But I saw the RNC convention behind the scenes footage, and the Young Turks got interrupted by Alex Jones and another conspiracy theorist. And the Young Turks, they just lost their marbles. They lost their composure. And I know what that's like when you really get tired of somebody's crap. I love these things. They're just so much fun. I could sit and play with a Zippo all day. I don't know if that's a good thing. And I just thought it was funny they lost their composure because they like to, play the holier than thou card. And oh man, that son of a gun's hot. And they like to point out, oh, this is this and that is this is that, and they're always, pretty arrogant. At least I think they are in their portrayals. And what was funny was you could tell. Now I understand that Alex Jones totally interrupted his broadcast, and he was obviously flustered. And then this other fringe journalist walks up, and he just completely loses it. And now here's a guy that's always, bandying other people's videos around and stuff and making people look bad. It's just something I've noticed in the past. And I'm just not real impressed with the way they make a living on YouTube. And they're kind of accepted as like the norm because they play into the media mainstream. They go for the more popular opinion to stay above their heads above water. And so they don't, they play to the majority if they can. And it was just fun to see him so rattled, and that girl that works with him, and they were a mess. I don't even know why they were there, because in the first place, because you knew they were there just to be divisive. You know that they don't support the Republican campaign. So they were there to be instigators, and then when somebody came and instigated them, they completely lost it, which was hilarious. Not throwing a stone here, I just thought it was really funny that they completely freaked out. It was really cool. It was just cool to see. I don't know why it made me laugh. And then I watched, the Alex Jones version of events, and I watched the Young Turks version of events, which was all bullcrap. The truth of the matter was they interrupted the show, rattled the guy, and he didn't have any snappy comeback. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know how to act. He rips the microphone out of Alex Jones's hand and loses his temper. The girl comes up, starts mother effing him, tells him to get the F off the stage. You F, you fat F, which I thought was great. I mean, that's how bad it got. We're just going to call names now because we don't have anything, left to argue. And I think that's what not pissed me off, but piqued my interest. They had nothing. If it wasn't scripted and put out in front of them, Alex Jones knew. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he just got lucky. I'm not a fan of Alex Jones at all. I think he's just a complete loose cannon and a complete shyster. But you gotta give him credit. He exposed them pretty bad. He made them look really bad. It was just kind of funny. And I think the reason I'm even talking about it today, right now, is I just found it fascinating. I found it fascinating that when the teleprompter didn't tell somebody what to say, they had to resort to name calling. They didn't have anything left. I'm not going to eat one of those guys. I'm just not feeling it. So this video is a request for something to help you calm down. Maybe deal with anxiety issues and panic attacks. I don't think I'm doing that great a job, but I think if you listen to somebody talk and ramble, and they just talk, I don't know, kind of casual, offhand remarks, maybe you start to relax. Your forehead starts to relax, and your tension goes away in your head, and you start to forget about your own problems. There's that old saying, if we all put our problems on the table and we saw everyone else's issues, we would pick our own back up and walk away. You ever hear that? It's really, I think it says a lot about the human condition. I wasn't planning on doing a video, but like I said, I got this request from a very, very kind viewer, and I just thought I'd at least try. I'd try. I don't have PTSD, and I don't normally suffer from panic attacks. I have had anxiety in social situations. Everybody does, and I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing to have the proper amount of anxiety when you do something in public, where you're dealing with a situation you're not familiar with. You should have some nervousness that keeps you on your toes. A job interview, going to a new place. You definitely want to be off balance a little bit so that it brings out the best in you. Not the worst, the best. And that's usually a good thing. A good friend of mine, let's talk about some good things. A good friend of mine, I won't mention this person's name, got a job recently, and they are doing so well, and I was so happy for them. Oh, I was happy. They've been struggling to get a job for a while, and now they have not only a job, they have a great job. I was so happy. Oh, when you see a friend excel, do well, it helps me feel better about myself and maybe calms my own spirit a little bit. Oh man, does that thing get hot? I think it's really hot. Just from that little tiny bit of flame. My God, does it get hot? That's why it's got those little holes to get the oxygen in there to the wick. And that thing is cooking. Gosh, I love these things. They're so much fun. They're just fun. It's not like a Bic. Disposable. I don't know, just when I was a child, my dad smoked. He smoked my mom didn't smoke, my dad did. And he smoked Camel non-filters for a while, because he was a tough guy. They're all tough guys. They smoke Camels or Pall Malls, and oh, I hated the smell of cigarette smoke. It made me so sick. When I was a kid, I hated it. To this day, I hate it. And I don't smoke. That's just in case anybody was curious. I do not smoke. And the doctor said, "You've got a spot on your lungs." My dad was in his late 20s. I was really little when this happened. "You better think about stopping smoking. You got to give up the cigarettes." So my dad said, "Okay, I'll meet you halfway." He switched to Marlboro filtered cigarettes. So he switched to a filtered cigarette because he had a spot on his lungs. This is how we thought back then. Plus, these poor guys were addicted to nicotine. When you see somebody smokes today, I think they get into it for various reasons, but it's painfully obvious they're severely addicted to nicotine. It's very hard to get rid of the addiction to nicotine and give up smoking, and it's really sad. It's not funny. I really think cigarettes have had their day in society. I mean, we've only been sucking on those things for I don't know how many hundred years. And a little bit of tobacco doesn't hurt anybody, but I'm talking a little bit, a little pipe here and there. Like anything. I mean, a little bit of cane sugar doesn't hurt you, and a little bit of fat doesn't hurt you. But if you're going to suck down a pork roast every night or a pound of bacon every day, and if you're going to eat candy, bags of candy every day, you're going to die. You're going to die younger. And we know that. It's just, let's just not talk about, my eating habits are probably not my best friend. And, we just got to look at that as a society and realize, people just have access to just too much. And even though cigarettes are wildly expensive, they're also wildly addictive. And, not being able to get to your cigarettes can cause people a lot of stress and anxiety because they're severely addicted to them. And I can't believe the cigarette companies didn't charge more for them back in the day because, they probably cost nothing to make. If you think about it, they have these cigarette making machines that they've been pouring out packs of cigarettes for 100 years probably now, and automated machines, and these cigarette packs can't cost more than a dime to put together. When you think about, they buy everything in bulk and everything, it just can't cost that much. So it makes you wonder if it makes you wonder, how much profit they really make and how much it really costs them to, put the cigarettes out. And what does this have to do with anything? Okay, let's tie it all together. I see a lot of people saying that they're out there doing things for the right reason. They're doing things to help people and they're not. We all have self-serving interests. Even people like the Young Turks and Alex Jones, they're not out to help you. They're out to sell you a product, a service. They're out to sell you information. They're trying to get you to listen to and believe in or follow their agenda. And they make it very stressful that, this is the most important election of all time. This is the most, so dangerous. Like, remember back when Obama was running and they had like Chuck Norris telling everybody 1,000 years of darkness if he got reelected, he was going to, everybody was convinced, all these fringe people were saying that he was going to declare martial law and round everybody up and put us all in internment camps. And I was like, oh my God, can I just say something? If Obama, Trump, Hillary, whoever is going to round everybody up and put us in internment camps. So half, 90% of us are in the internment camps and 10% of us are guarding the 90%. Who's paying all the taxes? Who's paying the taxes to fund all this? When you think about all of the conspiracy theories out there, they all collapse when it comes down to one thing. Who's paying for this? They really do. Who's paying for this? Oh, they're going to round us up. They're going to take our guns. They're going to put us in internment camps. They're going to stop us from being able to do all these things. Who's paying for this? Well, they'll just print more money. No, come on. Who's paying for this? Who's paying for all this? If we're all gone, they're going to wipe all of us out, reduce the population, get rid of everybody. Who's going to be the tax base? Who's going to fund all these stupid projects and make these people even more rich? Because they're not rich enough. If they were rich enough, they'd all quit. They'd all retire. But they don't do that. They keep going. So obviously they're not rich enough. These people would just run off to an island and you never hear from them again if they were rich enough. They don't do that. So which one is it? It has to be one or the other. And, you hear all these conspiracies, and it's like, I'm going to be happy if... Now, wait a minute now. I'm not saying who I'm voting for, but just listen. I'm going to be happy if Trump wins, because then I have to hear about Obama and how he's going to, round us up for the next 4 more years. I don't have to hear that from certain family members, how, they're coming to get us. Oh, they're coming to get us. Obama sold more guns than anybody. All he has to do is go out and threaten to take them away, and gun and ammunition sales go through the roof. I think he works for the gun companies, if you ask me. And if Hillary wins, oh my God. Well, we won't have to deal with Trump. And that's like, okay, well, business is normal. But we're going to have to hear about this. Oh my God, I'm going to have to hear about all... She's going to... Oh, this is it. She's coming for the guns. Better bury them in the backyard. It's like, did you ever think the gun companies invented this box to bury your guns and ammo in the backyard? Did you ever think they had an ulterior motive to get you to buy twice as many guns? Did you ever think about that? I'm not telling you I'm an anti-gun nut. I'm not telling you I'm pro-gun. Because I'm really not. I really don't care. That's what I am. I really don't care American. I really don't care if somebody gets an abortion. And I'll tell you why. Because it's none of my business. It's none of my business if you take cocaine. It's none of my business if you grab a gun and run through the mall scaring everybody. And it's also not my problem if you dress like a clown and try and scare people. But when you come near me or you come around me, then it's my issue. So you say, well, how's that work? Well, unless you're trying to force someone in my family to have an abortion, I really don't care because it's not my concern. If you're not trying to round me up and put me in the back of a truck to take me to an internment camp. I don't care. See, because I don't think that's ever going to happen. See, because we already discussed it in my family, and we don't live in a country that they round you up. Because they don't. It doesn't happen. But I hear this all the time. Oh my God. My wife will get off the phone and I hear, what did your relatives say today? Oh, yeah, Obama's going to declare martial law. There's not going to be an election in November. We're done. That's it. I'm like, could you please tell them to give it a break? I might seem down, but I'm actually kind of feeling good about this video. I feel like maybe I'm possibly doing some good here. It's like, think about what you're saying. Have you ever asked them to listen? And then they read this stuff on the internet and they get all worked up. Then quit reading it. Quit reading all this fringe crap that's just so upsetting. Why are you reading it? If it's that bad, like, I mean, people say, well, don't you stay informed? No, I don't watch CNN. I don't watch Fox. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't watch ABC, CBS, NBC. I'll go to a news source like, say, NPR, BBC America, and read a news report. And you may say, BBC, why would you read that? Well, I actually might get a more fair and balanced story if I go to an alternate source. The NPR, it's funded by the government. How can that be a unbiased news source? Because they don't care. They're not selling commercial time. They're not trying to make money on a 24-hour news cycle. That they have to keep people informed and keep people on the cusp, gnawing at these news reports. So there's this opportunity to maybe get a balanced, unbiased news report. I hear about news stories in the BBC that haven't been reported in the United States yet. It might be a week or so before the United States reports on something that was already reported and disseminated in the BBC. Recent case in point. ABC is owned by Disney Corporation. Disney owns a lot of stuff. It's not a conspiracy, it's a fact. You can look who Disney owns. Well, they had that alligator attack in Disney down at, I think it was the Floridian, the Grand Floridian, in that little lake outside the Magic Kingdom. I've been there. I rode a boat across there this summer. So, and they had people out there patrolling in boats and stuff. It's like, oh, it's a little late now. So I'm down there. I've actually been there. I know exactly where it happened. I've seen that. And the news reported in the United States that an alligator attacked a young toddler. And the story was skewed. It was, well, maybe the parents were out at night. Maybe the kid was unattended at the water. There was all these allusions in the story to reasons we could look at the story either way. And immediately, on the 24-hour news cycle, they grab this story and they start preaching, the parents were neglectful. Or they start preaching Disney was neglectful, depending on who's paying the bills. If you're owned by Disney, of course, the parents were probably neglectful, having their kid at night in the dark down there, and it just goes on and on and on. They're trying to get people cranked up. I read in a BBC news story that there was actually 2 alligators, that there were other families there that the father tried to fight it off and all this other stuff, all these other information that I never got from news sources in America for about 2 weeks. It was about 2 weeks. When this is lit, there's no oxygen. It makes a different sound when it closes. It's weird. Maybe because there's no oxygen in the air. All the air has been used up. There's not a vacuum, but like just a different sound. I'm gonna wear my Flint out. These are so fun to play with. suppose. So, okay, where are we at? Let's stay focused. So, the news story I heard. Now, if you lived in Florida, you might have a local news source that reported a different version of the story too, because local news isn't always controlled by the bigger media companies. So, you can get your news from local sources sometimes are more unbiased than big sources. But the point I'm trying to make is they were all over with this story, but they never really gave you a clear picture of what happened. So I had to go to the United Kingdom, all the way across the ocean, to get a unbiased look at this story. Because it was too close to home, ABC's not going to report this thing the same way CBS, NBC is, because they're all owned by different companies. ABC is definitely owned by Disney, and they're going to report the story a certain way. It was an unfortunate accident, and there's alligators in Florida, there's poisonous snakes, there's those giant freaking anacondas running around, there's all kinds of bugs and stuff that you don't want to get involved in when you're in Florida. These things can happen, so you have to be careful when you're down there, and I think a lot of people aren't aware of it because they're not from that part of the world. So you have to be careful. Where I'm going with that is it was obvious the parents weren't aware of the dangers of being by any natural body of water. I know that's a controlled body of water at the Grand Floridian, but it's still just a waterway, and animals can get in there. So they pulled like 6 or 8 alligators out of that lake, and I didn't read that story on an American news source. I read that on a BBC news source, that they went out that night and found the alligators and everything. They didn't say they found the alligator that killed that kid in America until a few days way after the other news sources reported that they found the alligator. And I think that's because in America you're always a presumption of innocence. And that alligator was innocent until proven guilty. That's my big joke for the day. So, I don't know. It gets me sometimes. The audacity of media in this country that wants to tout their unbiased opinion and their bullshit. It's bullshit 24-hour news cycle, which is worthless. They have nothing to talk about after about a minute and a half. A minute and a half to 2 minutes into any news story that's developing, they immediately bring out the pundits. What do you think? And they bring usually 4 pundits. Pay attention, this is good. They bring 2 people to argue for the event that just happened, and 2 to argue against it. Well, this violent thing happened because of guns and guns and guns and guns. And then you have 2 people arguing, oh, it's not because of the guns, it's because of Obama, and Obama's gonna round us up. It's like, oh my God, you tree huggers, oh, you right-wing Nazis. And it's just like, oh my God, turn it off. I mean, something horrible could really happen, and you see the police cars, and you see the first responders, and you see the ambulances, and you're so upset, and you want to find out what happened to the people. And a minute and a half later, they're jamming misinformation and crap down your throat by the bucket load about how we need to change this. If we had prayer in schools, there wouldn't be as many mass shootings, and it's those Muslim terrorists, and it's those right-wing people, and it's those liberal tree huggers. It's like, shut up. I'm screaming as loud as I can right now at the TV. Okay, watch. Shut up. And the best thing to do when that happens is you pick up your remote and you click. You just click off the off button, and you say, well, tune out. Well, how's that work? You're not informed. You're not being made aware of what's going on. You don't care. No, I do care. I care about my own well-being. I care about my own mental health, my own mental stability. I don't want to be a nervous wreck for the next 3 days, suffering from panic attacks and anxiety because Rush Limbaugh or Wolf Blitzer got me all cranked up and worked up about some stupid event that basically comes down to mental health issues. The person has to be a deranged buffoon to cause that horrible gun shooting to happen. Nobody in their right mind, for religious, personal reasons, you have to be a complete insane person. You have to be mentally deranged to go into a building and start firing on people with a gun with the intent to kill a human being. This is not normal behavior. This is a deranged, sick person. And what you're doing is when you pile all of this divisiveness on top of people, and all of this anger, and all of this politicking, and all these agendas, on top of the issues, you muddy the water, and you make people so sick they can't drink the water because it's dirty, it's full of mud. It makes them sick, and they can't see through the water to find a way out because the water is so murky. They can't find their way to the surface to get a good fresh breath of air. You're not tuning out for the wrong reason. You're tuning out for the right reason. You need to be free, to make up your own mind. That's what freedom's about. Freedom's expensive. Freedom costs a lot. And when you allow yourself to be free and think clearly, you'll find you have a lot less stress in your life. You'll be happier, and you'll be more at peace. You'll be at peace in your heart. You really will. You won't be concerned that some nefarious plots are coming to bear on your soul and you're going to die. A lot of people get really wrapped up in silly politics of the world. And, well, let me just make my point clear. I think it was hilarious that Alex Jones got the best of the Young Turks. I don't have a beef with the Young Turks, but I just don't necessarily like the way they make a living on YouTube. They seem a little pompous to me. And they also seemed out of their league. Alex Jones made you look bad. Now, that's my opinion. But I also laughed. I thought it was funny that they had no argument with him. They couldn't argue. They all they could do is name call and start cussing, and I loved it. I thought that was great. Teleprompter just didn't have the right words for them. But they're indicative of the greater picture. Your ABCs, your NBCs, your CNNs, your Fox News, they're preaching indoctrination. We need you on our side. We need you thinking like we want you to think. We want to control you. We want you to listen to what we want you to listen to. We want you to think the way we want you to think. It's hollow. It's like eating air. You're not going to get any calories from it. Try to remember that when you're all stressed out and you're worked up and you're sitting there going, oh my God, they're killing people in France. Their alligators are eating people in Florida. They're coming to take our guns away. Obama's going to declare martial law. There's not going to be an election in November. There's going to be an election. There's going to be an election. Disney put up some fences. Disney got rid of the alligators. The French government is rounding up potential terrorists. They're getting rid of some of these people that they know are known troublemakers. You know, they're doing the best they can. The United States is doing the best they can. We're trying to make the world a better place, but it's a less than perfect place, and it's going to be a less than perfect utopian world. Have you ever read a book about the future where it was perfect? No, it's perfect on paper, and then something goes wrong. That's every future book has ever been written will point out that no matter how perfect human beings try to make everything, there's something's going to go wrong. Chaos theory is going to creep in and destroy your Jurassic Park. There's actually a word for it. It's not utopian society, it's dystopian. Looks at the future because the future appears bright and perfect, but in the end it's actually a disturbing, weird, unsettling place. So we live in this unsettling, weird, upsetting, strange world. Strange new world. And we have to remember our place in it. Relax. Tune out if you can't handle it. Find things that you do like about the world. Find things that you do like to think about, talk about, make yourself happy. I don't know if this helps, but I hope this is a good request. I don't think it's quite what they wanted to hear, but maybe I got your mind off things. Maybe I'm just a grand old dad that wants to tell you things aren't so bad if you just let it go. If you want a gun, go buy a gun. Put it up in your closet and don't worry about it. If you don't like other social issues, don't do it. Don't smoke. Don't drink. Talk to your family about why abortion is bad. Talk to your friends about why it's bad. Help them. Witness to them. Don't preach to them. Witness to them. There's a difference. And maybe you can actually reach out to some folks on a more personal level and find out you have a lot of things in common. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm really glad we got to talk today, and I'm really glad I got to be here with you. Don't forget to check out Dr. Wobblesworth's Circus Fortuna. Over 40 artists involved. I'm very, very proud of it. Proud of everybody that was involved. And I think there's just some really beautiful pieces in there. They're all great, but there's some that you got to go in there, and some of them are simple. Unknown artists. It's just neat to discover, and some well-known artists doing some crazy stuff. So have fun with it. Let me know if you like it. And as always, don't forget to rate, comment, and share my videos. And I do appreciate you subscribing. And I appreciate you making requests. I try to fill them as fast as I can so that I don't forget or, let you down as a person. I know if you're taking the time to request, it's probably something you want to see in a timely manner. So I do try to fill them as quickly as possible. Hopefully some big projects coming up. I'm debating doing a Christmas collaboration, but I don't know if I'm going to do it. This was a lot of work. The Halloween collaboration was a lot of work. I have to be honest. So I start to get really busy around the holidays. I may not have time to do it. So until I speak to all of you again, my name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I wish you a most blessed day. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There you go. So good to see all of you today. Bye-bye.